Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you. Disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. When your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now. Bang, bang, there's a killer in the hall.
Good stuff, huh?
I love it. That's
Deep Cotton?
Deep Cotton.
Deep Cotton.
Featured on a ad for some product in a capitalistic country somewhere in the United States. I'd like to welcome you to another...
What?
What?
Nothing.
Let me get this out of the way.
That didn't make any sense to me. That's all I'm saying.
What? Capitalist
Featured
country?
in the United States.
It could be international. I don't know.
Okay.
It's,
All right.
It's an ad, and it's got a really cute woman in it. Janelle Moy, I don't know. I'm not hip with all those young cats.
That's true.
No, not at all.
That's true. You're not.
I'm not. What? I told you this last week. The older I get, the less significant one becomes.
Yeah, and
you disagreed with that. I tried to explain it to you.
I was just saying your bar wasn't that high to begin with, is all.
I know. It's just getting lower. But anyways, we want to welcome you to another show, At Odds. We'll take you on another enjoyable journey through the political jungle with your guides, Nate and Brian, where we're broadcasting from the back room of the Goat and Prod pub in a small village. In what country, Nate?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
I didn't know they had small villages in the Netherlands.
They
but we
do. They have very small. I'm not exactly sure where we are because Nate just gives me my passport, gives me my airline ticket, and off we go.
And one day, Brian, you will show up, get off the airplane, and I won't be there. And I will be a much happier person for it.
That'll be sad. Usually when I get off the airplane, I'm pretty drunk because,
And when you get on the airplane.
And pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Well, when they do the finger prod and the scanning and all that stuff, I like to be kind of drunk.
It's different when you ask for it, though.
Just like my sex life, I like to be really, really drunk.
Yeah.
And so does the other person because
they need to be.
It's not good for
necessary.
Anybody. Anyways, today's show is live. We would like to have you call in. You can call in at 248-455-ODDS. That's 248-455-6337.
Make sure you're clear on that one.
Those 2 3s give me
They're very tough.
6337. So if you like what we're doing, if you don't like what we're doing, if you've got a comment to add to the show, you disagree with what we're saying, please give us a call. What the hell? You got nothing else to do.
Yeah, call us. We'll either answer it or we won't. So I guess the only way
we'll
to find
either
out
answer
is
it
to call.
or we won't. Yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible.com. Though you can sign up through a special offer for At Odds listeners. Get a free 30-day trial.
Where do they go?
They can go to our new website, actually, www.atoddshow.com. Click on the Audible free 30-day trial ad, and you can get a free audiobook download for your iPhone, your iPad, your Android,
Kindle,
your MP3 player, Kindle,
your thingamabiggy.
Yeah, whatever it is that you can listen to audiobooks on, you can probably get it from
audiobooks
audible.com.
are getting really big.
Yes, they are.
People are doing it. You don't have to get the old CDs and the big box set. Prices come down. You can download it online. They're great for in the car, your commute to work, when you're mowing the lawn, when you're washing the dishes, when you're making love with your significant other. You can put the headphones on and listen to a great book.
Probably
That's what my wife does.
Self-esteem, self-help tape.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do it.
You are a great person. Yeah, so head over to
By gosh, I like myself.
adoddshow.com and click on the ad. And the best part about this is you can cancel anytime. Sign up for your free trial. If you don't like it, cancel. If you like it but you don't want to pay for the subscription, cancel before the 30 days are up, and you have nothing to lose on that.
And you can find more information about us at our Facebook page, which is what?
Facebook.com/@oddsshow.
Wow, you knew that right
I
off the
knew
top.
that. I know. I helped the guy set it up.
You know Zuckerberg?
I wish I knew him.
Oh, you don't mean the actual Facebook setting it up. You
no,
didn't go to
our page,
university there when he was there and ripped it off from some other classmates.
Oh, no, I saw the movie. That's exactly what happened. You're right.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, a lot of stuff. We're going to go for an hour, I think, easily. We can go up to 3 hours now because we're a real professional show.
That's exactly why.
But nobody wants to listen to us past about 10 minutes. So I don't know why we go for 3 hours, but we can. So we got the whole evening before us. We don't know how long we'll go, but we won't go over 3 hours because that's past my bedtime.
It is. It is past.
Because we're on the East Coast and it's kind of late.
It's 7:30. That's not kind of late, but I mean,
we got lots of stuff to talk about in regards to gun control, gun issues. We don't want to get stuck on guns all the time, but we do, and it's something near and dear to us.
It's fairly big in the news, and I want to talk about some distractions that have come up too,
right? And
with gun control and to get us away from gun control.
I have a top 10 list that I put together, and
I see you have your cue cards there.
I have 10 fingers up.
10 fingers. I was going to give you a little more credit than that.
This is top 10 reasons. Thanks. I just got that. Top 10 reasons to possess a 30-round magazine or clip or strip or any of the various other inappropriate, inaccurate
whatever you
names
want to call it.
For it.
Well, strip it. Yeah, all right. Just
now, Nate and I were discussing this before the show. He disagreed with the order, and he can do it after I'm done. But let me go through, and I'm going to go from 10 to 1, of course. All right, number 10 reason to have a 30-round magazine, of course, is zombies. Right?
Zombies, that's a good reason.
You want to have 30 rounds for zombies at least.
Zombies never come in groups of 7 or less.
They do not.
You're screwed in New York City.
Always more than 29, too. All right, so zombies is number 10. Number 9.
Never 31, though.
No, never 31. Number 9 reason, drug cartels. Well, in the Netherlands, where we're at the Goat and Prod, drug cartels, it's free here. It's sort of nationalized, isn't it? Right? I mean, some areas here we can get as high as we want. Amsterdam. What? Am I got the wrong country?
No, I think
I'm right in there. Drug cartels are a problem along our southern border in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's number 9. Number 8, gang attacks. It's a gang for a reason. Otherwise, it would be just a solo.
Yeah,
group.
Just an attacker.
Yeah, an attacker would be it. Gangs come in at least 30 people.
Yep.
Can't be called a gang without 30. So if you're attacked by a gang, you want 30 rounds. Number 7, racial attacks. There was an example of a black family that was moving into a new neighborhood. They were being harassed by, believe it or not, Hispanics, and they were telling them to get out, and they actually used an AR-15, I believe, with a 30-round magazine to scare off these threatening things. So racial attacks. Number 6, riots. Not a quiet riot, but a big old riot. Like in L.A.
I love quiet riot. I just want you to know that. That's like the only...
Be quiet. Okay, quiet riot.
Never...
So riots, number 6, 30-round magazine. Natural disasters. You never know when a big natural disaster could come in, cause all kinds of problems. People looting and stealing and ripping you off.
Something like an earthquake.
For you, Nate, they could be taking your comic book collection. You wouldn't want that.
No, and that's why I have multiple 30-round clip
They could
strips.
get into my wine collection. I certainly don't want that. I need 30 rounds to protect myself against natural disasters, which all kinds of things can happen. Number 4,
economic collapse. While it may not be, that necessarily likely, it's always a possibility.
No. I
right.
completely disagree with you there. I think it's almost inevitable at this point in this country.
Really? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
You're a young whippersnapper.
We'll get there.
We've lived through a lot of hard times in our life.
All right. Well,
we had to eat bricks.
See, the thing is, though, when we had Carter, we got rid of him after one term.
I'm talking older than Carter. I know you think that's old, but that was actually my first election.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Anyways, economic collapse. All right, number 3. Uh-oh.
Oh, geez.
I screwed up here.
Did you? Do you have 2 number 4s?
No, but I deleted the wrong one you wanted me to delete. But I'm going to say...
Do you need me to help you get your socks off?
No,
so
number
you can count
3,
with your toes too?
attempted gun confiscation by either local government, state government, or federal governments.
Or the cartel.
Or the cartel. Or the zombies. They may not like you shooting them in the brains. All right. Number 2. And this is a big one. Tyranny.
Tyranny.
And we'll talk about the threat of tyranny has never been greater. And the number 1 reason to have a 30-round magazine
bigger than tyranny.
Bigger than tyranny is to piss off Pierce Morgan. All right.
And I
that limey bastard.
Yeah. He needs to go back home, doesn't he?
He really does.
I think if you had an 8-round or a 1-round magazine, you could successfully piss him off.
Well, I think he'd actually be okay with a 1-round musket.
No, I don't think he would.
Really?
No, they pretend like they would so they can say, of course I support the Second Amendment, because the Second Amendment
talked about
was
muskets.
all about muskets. It says muskets in there, and it says you can have a musket, but if you're blind, you can't own a firearm. It says that in there.
Oh, my goodness.
No, before I get to this whole blind topic here,
geez.
I wanna reorder these a bit.
We don't want to get
Pierce Morgan, I would take him and throw him off the edge of California, or off of the list. I mean,
we don't want to talk about Stevie Wonder just yet.
What I would
Go
do,
ahead.
I would throw Pierce Morgan off the list just because I don't like him. I think I would take.
Could we rip out his guts and feed him to the gulls?
No, that would be violent, and I wouldn't do that because I'm not a violent person.
But if it happened naturally, you wouldn't be tearful.
No, I wouldn't, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be happy about it either. I think.
Really?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Maybe.
Really? Because
Well,
every man's death diminishes you because you're a part of humanity.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It's exactly right.
All right.
I would move zombies up to number 2.
Why is that? You knock tyranny out and put zombies there?
No, I would move tyranny to number 1 because
Oh.
Pierce Morgan's off the face of the earth.
Screw him anyways.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
so you got zombies at 2.
Zombies at 2.
And why is
I think
that?
so. I think because zombies are a real threat. We have Dow Chemical here in the Netherlands. They're working on zombies right now.
We have baths, whatever those.
Yeah, I mean, were those bath salts, or was that guy who was eating a living human being
A zombie.
a zombie? Because that's what zombies do.
Which takes us to what's happening in North Korea. Have you heard about the rumors that the people are killing their children and eating them now because they're starving?
Actually, that's an old rumor. I heard
It's
that
just an old rumor.
months ago. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're eating.
I'm a little old.
They're cooking up and eating babies.
Yeah.
They
they read a modest proposal by Jonathan Swift, who actually had recipes on how you should eat the unwanted babies in the world.
Yeah, and they have all sorts of unwanted babies.
A year and younger is like veal, he said.
Yeah, it's
a little sick, I
It's
guess.
disgusting is what it is. But, I mean, that's probably why we're not good friends with North Korea.
Protein's protein. Oh, really? We're not good friends?
No, we're not. Well, I'm not. I'm not. I think our president might be. Let's talk about Stevie Wonder a bit here.
I was going to talk about the threats of tyranny, but I can save that for later.
Yeah, you can.
Go with Stevie Wonder, and we'll get back to this.
I just wanted to
cut and
ask
paste
you.
it.
I just wanted to ask you if you
Ask
think,
me a question.
Yeah, if you think that the Second Amendment would support if that supports the right of a blind person to own a firearm, because Stevie Wonder,
I think it does.
was on Pierce Morgan's show, because everybody goes on there to talk about guns because Pierce Morgan is the authority.
He's the expert on guns.
He's the
along with
media,
Diane.
the the media
As we'll get to
authority
later.
on gun rights.
Good Lord, is she ignorant.
And what Stevie Wonder says was we need to keep our children more safer.
Safer, he did say that.
We need to keep them more safer. Because imagine, he had this idea.
Imagine a world.
He would have Pierce go buy him a gun. No, wait, that wouldn't make any sense. He'll go with Pierce. They'll buy a gun.
Actually, what he says is he's going to have one of his people go buy a gun and give it to him.
And then he said, well, I'll go with you and we'll get a gun. And
yeah, because he realized that was a straw person.
He said, imagine me with a gun.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining him with a gun.
Yeah.
And he would be like every other American with a gun.
And
there would be absolutely
thousands of blind people that have guns.
And hunt. They hunt. I mean, they have this stuff worked out.
A blind person has every right to keep and bear arms for the protection of themselves.
And look, just because you own a gun doesn't mean you have to shoot it. Why couldn't a blind person collect guns? Much like maybe a blind person wants to collect photographs.
Not only
are we going to say they can't collect photographs?
That's true. They could collect it. They could they could work on guns. They could do a lot of things with guns. They could also defend themselves. Listen, if they're being battered about the head and shoulders, they could probably assume that this person doesn't have good intent for them, and they could get a gun and actually
look, if they're in their home, they know who should be in their
now,
home.
Now, I'm not saying that the door opens up and they bam, 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 and they shoot at the door. That's probably not a good thing. But certainly blind people can have guns. Well, you got a soundbite. Go ahead and play it.
A soundbite of what?
Stevie Wonder.
No, I don't have a soundbite of that.
I just
wanted to get your take on that. And
wait a minute, you did have a soundbite.
No,
on
I didn't.
Oh.
I wanted to get your take on that and ask if you thought that. Oh boy,
that was Stevie Wonder.
All right, maybe he shouldn't own a gun.
That was his maid and his housekeeper.
So, do you think that we are at a greater risk or less risk?
Oh, you're going to go there
tyranny
now.
than we were 200 years
1780s.
ago, 100 years ago.
Yeah, I think we do. One of the things about the 30 Round magazine is the anti-gun people. They poo-poo the idea of tyranny. Really, you think your government? You think your government? For one thing, they think your government would try to become tyrannical over you.
Yeah,
then we assume that premise could be a possibility. And then they go, well, do you think you would even have a chance against nuclear bombs and all that stuff? And I'm saying that the threat of tyranny is greater now than it was in 1780s, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, you can tell me why, conspiracy
in the
guy.
In the 1780s, the federal government had the same rifle that every person in America that owned a rifle had.
They did, because the Second Amendment says you can own a musket.
Oh, no.
That's why they had the same gun, because they were following the Constitution.
No. It didn't say anything about musket.
I thought it did.
But
I have the Constitution right here.
Okay.
I can look it up.
You can look up the Second Amendment, and while you're doing that, I will talk.
I'm in the glossary looking up musket.
Okay. Now, it's not going to be in there.
I don't see
All right.
it.
My point is that in the 1780s, basically the people in the federal army were really equal, along with the state militias. Every state had militias which were made up of volunteer people. And the idea was the federal government wouldn't have a standing army because they know that the standing army could be used against the people to enforce a tyrannical government. But at least in the 1780s, we were equal, and we were equal pretty much up through and after the Civil War.
Yeah.
But it was about World War I in 1918 or 14 to 18 or so. What is it? I'm getting all frustrated. Anyways, First World War.
You don't remember?
I don't remember that. I was there.
I know you were
I was
there.
in France, but I was running a brothel, so it wasn't quite the same.
A successful one, too,
Very
ironically.
successful, yeah. Don't trust those Norwegians. They're very bad. Anyways, my point is we started getting a stronger army in the United States, and so the army got really, really advanced in their armory. So, and also the police department reflected what the Army had, generally, 5 to 10 year lag.
Yeah.
And so today we have the Army and the military much better armed than the average person. And now the government wants to take that away from us, too. All I ask is that we should have the same personal arms that the police and a soldier have, and that's an AR-15, an AK-47, a 30-round magazine, to be able to at least stand a chance against a tyrannical government. Because once the citizenry is disarmed, then we are at the mercy of the government, because they will have the monopoly on power.
Yeah, and I will go possibly even farther than you would. I'm not sure about this. I've mentioned this before, I hear people talking, obviously the Second Amendment doesn't give you the right to own a ground-air missile or an RPG or anything like that. I don't agree with that at all. The Second Amendment does not restrict your right to own those things.
No, it doesn't. If you can afford them, you can have them. Now, the thing is, and some people would argue, though, that those are offensive types of weapons, nukes and flamethrowers and hand grenades, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
no.
They make the argument those aren't used necessarily for a home personal defense or everyday personal offense.
That's not what the Second Amendment's about.
No, it's
and
not.
If we go down that road, then AR-15s aren't used for hunting, right? I mean, that's the argument we're hearing now.
Right, and they are all the time.
It's the same argument.
Yeah.
By the way,
we're going to get to stuff.
This is the first time I've read this. Okay. I finally found it in the Constitution. It was tough to find.
Oh, you did?
It's the Second Amendment, and so I had to get past the First Amendment, and that was really lengthy.
Yeah, and I don't know that we need the First Amendment.
No, we don't need the First Amendment.
I mean,
we could send Pierce Morgan away, and we would be good. let me read this to you, though.
What is it?
It is, let's see, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Huh.
Do you hear muskets in there? You didn't miss it, did you?
I think I did. Read that last part again.
I don't think I can read. I closed the book.
It's not in there, folks. We're not talking about
and neither
muskets.
is RPG, and neither is nuclear bomb, and neither is anything else.
And the point of it is that the people should be able to keep and bear arms that are equal to what the military and the police have. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it is to you and me, and apparently not to.
Well, listen,
to Dianne Feinstein, who knows nothing about guns.
It's not rocket science. Those that say that it isn't are either ignorant or they're being intentionally, what?
No, nothing. They're
intentionally trying
misleading.
to mislead us.
Yeah, and I made this point to some people the other day who
we're going to do
talking about how the government will never take your guns, and it's never
ridiculous.
Happened, and
it has happened, and we know that.
In Katrina, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Hurricane Katrina, they went around and took people's
guns away.
They still have not returned them.
Right, and the mayor came in and nobody will have a gun. Nobody will have a gun. Martial law. And they started, and they beat up an old lady.
Yeah, they did. They did.
To get her guns. And they were taken all... anyways, don't get me started. I will go crazy.
I told you about my day today.
I know.
Don't get me started.
That's
okay?
why I gave you a little shot of whiskey to settle your nerves.
It didn't help.
It
made me want to fight.
All right.
I'm a very violent person.
I know you are, and you own guns, and that's good. And no one's ever killed anybody with being drunk and alcohol,
especially with guns.
Yeah. But anyways,
oh boy, we're
not helping our
cause.
We're
giving a bad name to gun owners. We don't own guns, and we don't think you should.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and you can look as Katrina. Now, as a matter of fact, after that, the federal government finally came out with an actual law that said federal agents of the government cannot take guns away from law-abiding citizens, and many states have mirrored that, including Michigan. It also happened, I think, in Kansas. After some kind of tornado, there were the police department were going in people's homes and taking guns away.
Let's get to that 1 second. Let's take a call here. Thank you for calling At Odds. What's on your mind today?
Hi, I'd just like to talk in general about the magazine restrictions and other gun laws that are being proposed.
Yeah, sure. Where are you calling from?
He doesn't want to say.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm calling from the land of sun and guns,
All right.
Arizona.
All right.
Very good.
And I just Arizona.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. That's narrow enough. You're in a bunker in Arizona. We got it. Hello?
This is correct.
All right, go ahead.
But to listen to the arguments being proposed by people that say we need to take away X amount of ammunition and X amount size of magazines and so on and so forth, that these are arguments based in emotion and not in rationale. If it's fine for our military to have fully automatic weapons and 30-round magazines by the gross loads, why can't a law-abiding citizen have those items available to them?
But you don't need.
Where I'm at, I live in a very well-to-do gated community in the Scottsdale area, and most of my neighbors are transplants from California
Oh, good
or
Lord.
worse yet, Illinois. and they seem to have the understanding in their head that what works for California or what works for Chicago should work for everywhere in the world. And when I point out to them that, well, what's your definition of work? If you want to have one of the most violent areas to live in and where you can't defend yourself, then I guess it does work. And they always just kind of roll their eyes and look at me like, okay, who are you?
That's because they're in denial.
And my response to that is I am, well, right. And I try to be rational with them and say, listen, the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that your police department, for some reason, should they just decide to ignore your plea for help, unless they can be proven grossly negligent, there's nothing your family could do after the fact if you were killed or they were killed.
So you're saying
so if your wife is there.
So you're
go ahead.
You're saying that the police have no obligation to protect you, and as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court has said that they don't have to protect you.
I've had a police officer specifically tell me that he would not protect me if something happened in the store I was in at the time.
Absolutely. And I think that the vast majority of the American public believes that somehow or another they'll pick up the phone, they'll dial 911, and within nanoseconds there'll be an officer inside the room with them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really true.
Where I live, the closest police station to me in a straight line is 10 miles from me, and it's staffed by 4 officers.
Wow.
So
they're not going to be there too quick.
Right. So I'm sure they'll do their very best to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But in the minutes it takes them, or possibly half hour, depending on what else is going on, I'm not willing to gamble my family's life on their ability to run red lights and move traffic out of the way.
I agree with you, and that's foolish. I mean, I was in a discussion with at a local township board meeting with a retired federal marshal, and she was opposed to people owning guns because that's what the police are for. And I said, do you really think, that the police are there to protect you and they'll be there when you need them? Oh, absolutely, she said. Absolutely.
Of course they will.
And I grabbed her around the throat and I started choking her to death. No, I'm kidding. But that's what I wanted to do. And
to
say,
prove
now,
the point.
how's that working out for you? But her philosophy is not unique to her. So many people believe that the government is going to help them, that nothing will happen to them, and that the police are there to help them. And even the police, as we know, the sheriff in Milwaukee County, who said, hey, recently he came out and he's being crucified for it. He came out and said, we're short-staffed. We don't have a big budget. You guys got to start taking care of yourselves. And these people are still on record as saying, oh, well, if he can't protect me, then he should lose his job. Yeah. And he's not doing his job. He can't protect me. They feel entitled.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is.
Anything else, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up. I know you guys got tons of other callers waiting in the queue, but
oh yeah,
I wasn't being sarcastic there. I hope you do.
Well, I don't know.
We need more shows like this so people can actually.
We hope so too.
About everyday experiences.
But go
and
ahead.
do so knowing that the reason that they're able to talk about things that other people might find distasteful, such as actually carrying a gun, is because that Second Amendment protects all the other amendments from tyranny.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, you have a great night.
All right, you too. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care and have a good day out there in Arizona. You lucky son of a gun.
Yeah, it wasn't so great lately. Lots of rain and in the 50s, so we're suffering.
Hey, we're in the 50s and lots of rain too, so there you go.
Hey, it followed me.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But yeah, he's got a lot of good points. I mean, the idea that the police are going to protect you is laughable. They do the best they can. I'm not downplaying the police. They have an important role.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you are ultimately responsible for your safety and the safety of your family. You and I, Nate, we wrote a book. We wrote this kid's book, and we talk exactly about that point and part of that book, that police do the best they can.
We are coming up on a break. It's probably a good time to plug our book. It is a children's, preteen, young teen book about a
10 and older
little girl who goes through a day with her parents, who both openly carry firearms for the protection of themselves and their daughter. They meet a lot of people, both pro and anti-gun, and they discuss the ins and outs of responsible gun ownership, responsible gun handling,
Second Amendment, a little
Second
bit talk
Amendment,
about that, and
concealed versus open carry,
and it ends with a little surprise for Brenna, who's the little girl that's in the story. So it's a great book. You can check out myparentsopencarry.com.
Yep, it's available as hard copy or a electronic download. And speaking of that, our show brought to you today, right before we head to break, is brought to you by Audible.com. You can head over to @oddshow.com and click on the ad, the Audible ad, sign up for a free 30-day trial, and you get a free audiobook download when you sign up for that. Cancel anytime, so no risk to you.
You can't beat it.
It won't cost you until the recurring payment on the after 30 days. We will be right back. We have a lot more to talk about. All right, we are back here at I guess it's the top of the actual hour. Interesting.
Well, it's a little bit after the hour, but that's close enough. Hey, did you hear about the United States' largest outdoor sports, an outdoor show?
Yeah, I went to it, actually.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
it was
I didn't,
canceled.
did I?
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but big outdoor shooting and fishing show. They came out and said it was Reed Exhibitions owns it, and guess what? He's British. He came out and he said...
Does he know Pierce Morgan?
He does.
I bet he does.
They're friends. They go out and have drinks together. They decided that we would not include any products in the current climate that are black rifles or any kind of assault weapons.
It makes sense because they're scary.
Oh, they're frightening. Please don't have any of those black rifles with the 30-round magazines that are designed to... I don't know what they're designed for, but we'll say they're designed for bad things. Anyways, they were banning any kind of AR-15s and all this stuff. Well, once they announced that, a lot of the vendors, which is normally 1,500 vendors at this show, they started canceling, and they're making a stand. And Cabela's came out, and a lot of these big groups that were sponsoring it, they were pulling out. But yet, Reed Exhibitions was going forward. Oh, we don't need those guys. We still have lots and lots. And finally, it took them a long time. The NRA finally said, "Oh, we're not going to sponsor either." Yeah,
it took the NRA a long time to
did.
pull out of it.
They have to feel. They have to feel the water. What's the temperature? What's the political? Yeah,
an anti-gun gun show. I mean, is it really surprising to you that it took the NRA, one of the not so gun-friendly gun organizations in this country, took them a while to pull out from sponsoring this thing?
This ass who owns the exhibition hall, are saying, "Oh, those black guns are just a small little part. We don't really care. We're going to go on. We don't need them at all."
Uh-huh.
Here's their statement,
Really?
and I just want to read a couple of parts of it. We talk about FUDs. Can we define a FUD? A FUD is a person that's a hunter that likes their shotgun and their rifle and anything else, handguns, any kind of these scary assault type weapons. We don't need those. We just, as long as I got my deer rifle and my duck gun, I'm happy. The government can do whatever they want as long as they don't interfere with my duck gun and my deer gun. We call them FUDs. They don't really understand what the Second Amendment is about. And neither does this British guy who came out and said, this was before they actually canceled the show, but this is what they said. The Eastern Sports and British Show is a unique celebration of the authentic hunting and fishing tradition that are cherished by millions of Americans and their family. Now, I don't know about you, Nate. What's an authentic hunting and fishing tradition?
It's a musket.
I guess it's a musket. And they said, and we welcome exhibitors who wish to showcase products and firearms that serve the traditional needs of the sport. So using those words, he is actually saying, I'm a FUD. And he says, clearly we support the Second Amendment. However, and whenever they have a however or a but,
Yep.
this year we have made the decision not to include certain products.
Every politician that introduces or talks about gun control starts by saying, of course I support the Second Amendment.
Absolutely.
Of course I do, but
all right,
I don't.
Well, finally, there was enough pressure, enough people pulled out that they canceled
the show.
Good for them.
Yeah.
And when Feinstein, and we'll show in a clip, or we'll talk about it later, says that, the majority of people, support gun bans, is bull roar.
Yeah, look, 68% of Americans support an assault weapons ban. You didn't know that?
I don't know if that's true, and I don't know where she get that. 40%
of gun sales are made without a background check.
We're going to get into that in a minute. Be quiet.
I mean,
you're foreshadowing.
72% of Americans hate guns, and 114% of Americans think bullets should be illegal.
Right.
I mean, that's the big stat. That one surprised me. I thought it was higher.
Can you cite
It's actually only 114%. I don't have to cite it.
Okay, you don't have to. My God, we listened to Feinstein's talk on Meet the Press and talk about pure lies in ignorance and misinformation, intentional, I'm sure. But anyways,
Let's.
what? No, well, I don't want to get there just yet because we'll get. Anyways, they canceled the show because lots of people supported the Second Amendment, and screw you, Reed, and you British slimy bastards.
What fun is a gun show if you can't look at all of the scary black assault weapons with the 30-round clips?
Stop saying that. They're Homeland Security weapons.
They're guns. They're firearms is what they are.
All right.
Don't think...
I mean,
you don't need to put them in a category by themselves. It's a firearm.
Let me throw this in just before we do the Dianne Feinstein thing. A Missouri Democrat wants to force parents to inform school officials of firearm ownership. But I guess it's just the parents of students.
Oh,
and this is what she said. She said, "We are not trying to take away anyone's gun, period," said State Senator Maria Capinelli. She told the St. Louis KMOV, "We're not even asking what kind of gun you have. We want the school district to be able to say, you know what? There are some really terrible things going on right now, and we need to be able to talk to the parents that we know that they have a gun, and to make sure that there is security, that the gun is stored securely. And, you know, we only want to fine you $100 if you fail to inform us. And then if we find out that you were negligent in storing your firearm, well, that's $1,000 fine."
Yeah, only if you have kids in school, though.
Good Lord.
Oh, it is about the children.
Hopefully that will not pass, although Missouri was one of the last states that passed a shell issue concealed carry law. They had all kinds of opposition to that because, you know, St. Louis and some of the big powerful cities are very liberal. But Missouri, you know, the show me state, not really a big gun rights state. Hopefully it won't pass.
Wow.
All right.
That's ridiculous. You want to get into Feinstein now? You want to listen to what she said on Meet the Press?
I love this quote.
Now listen to this, because this will explain
everything.
This will explain everything about guns.
Once you hear this, if you are an ardent pro-gun person, you have 8 million guns in your house, you have 30 million rounds of ammunition. Once you hear this, you will say, she is right. We need to ban guns.
I'll tell you what. I went to a gun buyback and got rid of my guns just because of that. Before we get to that, I want to take a call real quick so we can have some time to discuss this.
That's not true.
Thank you for calling Ad Ads. What's on your mind?
My mind. I just wanted to congratulate you guys for everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
I also wanted to say that I did not understand why people would carry guns. I didn't get it. And my father-in-law is an avid gun carrier.
Okay.
And I asked him one day, why do you feel it necessary to carry a gun? And he says, let me answer that with a question. Why do you put your seatbelt on every time you get in the car other than it's the law?
Yeah.
I said, well, in case I'm in an accident. He said, there you go.
Bingo.
He said, I would rather carry this gun the rest of my life and not need it instead of not having it one time and needing it.
That's right.
So, and I also believe in the education of guns. I have a 15-year-old daughter who not only got her first deer at 12 years old at a youth hunt at 200 yards with a rifle,
congratulations,
but she was educated with that rifle by a man who knows a lot about guns. She is now 15 and in a shooting club every week and scores higher than the boys on all of the shootings.
Wow.
And she is very interested in guns and is now thinking about a career in some sort of law enforcement.
Well,
so for the people out there that don't believe that it's a good thing, I'd have to say, well, stop looking at all the bad examples.
Well, not only bad examples, but some of them are just plain wrong.
Yeah, just lies.
And that's one of the things we're going to have here with Feinstein, is what she's saying is completely, absolutely a lie. And we'll have a few sound bites of people that are just completely wrong and don't understand anything about guns.
Yeah,
So
you were exactly right when you
Sure,
brought
and I
up
understand
education.
Go ahead.
Oh, I said, yeah, I understand that that it is your right to carry a max capacity of 700 in a magazine if you wanted to. That is your right. But, I mean, is there a need to carry that many? Maybe. But who cares? It's your right. Carry 2 bullets. Carry 1,000,000 bullets.
Right.
I mean, each bullet's just as deadly as the next one.
Ah, yes.
But only in wrong hands.
That's an excellent point. I mean, you only need 1 bullet to kill somebody, but you might need 10 to defend yourself from somebody trying to kill you.
And you're assuming that every bullet is on target.
Right.
Sometimes you miss.
Right. I mean, just because, I seen a sign recently that was quite interesting. It said, "This door is locked for your protection, not mine. Because of the price of ammo going up, you will not get a warning shot."
Well, listen to this. I mean, we've also had cases where somebody's been shot 11, 15 times and still went on to attack a person.
If they're on drugs or something.
If they're on drugs or they're hyped up on whatever, sometimes they've been shot multiple times. So the idea of 1 shot, 1 person, 1 kill is ridiculous.
Well, if I shoot one and the person stops,
you're done.
Okay, I've defended myself.
Exactly.
But if he's still coming, I got a few more in the chamber.
And like I said, we know people that have been shot. I don't know them personally. What am I saying? We know of accounts of people that have been shot multiple times and still were able to attack and even injure or kill the person that was trying to defend themselves. So if you have a 1-shot gun like some people propose, or 7 rounds, who the hell are they to determine how many rounds you might need? It's ridiculous.
Well, if I'm carrying a musket and there's someone coming at me with a knife and I miss that first one, chances are that's the only one I got.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right. And there's actually one guy that was proposing that, a 1-shot, 1-gun, thing. That's what we're going to allow you to have. And what an idiotic, stupid thing to say.
A box of ammo would last you a long time.
Well, I don't know about that, but if I'm being
ammo would last you a long time.
Yeah, but if I'm being attacked by 4 people, I want more than 1 shot.
Right.
So
you can make them stop and go, "Hang on, I got to load it."
Well, yeah. Well, that doesn't work very well, does it? And we know, you can go on YouTube.
In that situation.
You can go on YouTube and see how deadly a knife is against a professionally trained police officer. I watched a video the other day where they were showing demonstrations of an officer, coming up on somebody and was attacked by a knife, and the guy stabbed him like 30 times before the cop could even get his gun unholstered.
Yeah, that caller made great points that carry as many rounds as you want. I mean, it's your right. If you don't want to carry any, you don't have to. And that's why I don't understand why these liberals don't just not carry a gun. They don't need them. And I want to get to that. It was
why do you have to say liberals?
Because it is the liberals.
No,
that's what it is. Don't tell me it's not.
There are some Republican conservatives that feel the same way. They're called FUDs.
No, I disagree.
Just say
with that.
Some people.
I completely disagree with that. You cannot be a conservative.
We are
think
at odds in that regard.
You can't be a conservative and think that people shouldn't be allowed to carry guns.
Well,
it's just
the 30 rounds.
No. Yeah. No.
Yes.
I don't believe you can be a conservative and not support the Constitution.
Is this going to come to fisticuffs?
It might.
Caller, you may have started a fight here.
Okay.
Did we lose the caller?
We did.
Oh.
We were good.
He's gone. Thanks for calling.
He left before there was a fight. But let's get to this Feinstein clip. And
all right.
Remember, if you own guns, you may want to turn them in after this. So just think long and hard about it.
And yeah.
And what we have found that now with the AR-15, they have a slide stock which you put in, it's legal, and it makes the gun act fully automatic.
Oh my God.
Really? I didn't know
about that.
I want that stock.
I didn't know. How could you say that?
I want that stock.
Think of the children.
I don't know.
Think of the children.
I don't like kids. We've established that.
There's this slide stock now. This is what we found.
That adjusts the length of the stock.
Yeah, and you put it on an AR-15.
Which is legal.
Legal.
And it makes your semi-automatic automatic.
It acts like a fully automatic. And that's just amazing to me.
And the thing is, that was the most intelligent thing she said in the conversation.
It really was, and that's why I picked it, because I want her to look good. Much like I picked out the quote here that, let's see, President Obama, he likes to... either give interviews to local radio stations that are just, hey, what's your favorite color and what kind of hot sauce do you like on your chili?
A powder puff, softball.
Yeah,
questions.
exactly right. Or he talks off the record, and he did an interview with the New Republic. I haven't found any audio of this. There probably is some. It hasn't made
Somewhere.
it to the public yet. He was asked, have you ever fired a gun? Right? And he says...
What did he say?
He says, well, up at Camp David, we do skeet shooting all the time. Up at Camp David. So, our president...
He's a skeet shooter.
He does skeet shooting all the time.
I didn't know that.
All the time at Camp David. Did you know that?
I did not
And
know
now I
that.
heard reports that he's been to Camp David like 3 or 4 times because he hates the place.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
have you ever seen him throw a baseball?
It's out in the woods?
Yeah, have you ever seen him throw a baseball?
It's not Chicago.
Have
so
you
he's
seen him
scared
throw a
of the
baseball?
woods. He's got to throw a baseball good. He's a basketball player. He's got to be coordinated.
Well, and I've heard he's not good at basketball, and I've heard he's not good at golf.
Really?
I mean, but the reason he doesn't like Camp David is there isn't a golf course at Camp David.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure that there's not. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure.
Not even
honestly,
a chip and putt?
I don't. That's not good enough. He needs a full golf
Okay.
course so he can do his thinking and things. He likes
All
Vegas.
right.
There's a lot of golf courses in Vegas.
Well, yeah. And Hawaii, too.
Oh, this was something else. Speaking of golf courses, you remember the shooting?
Really?
Somebody went into the that Amish schoolhouse and shot him up a few years ago.
Yes, I do.
Joe Biden said, probably. Well, he said literally, probably he was about a quarter of a mile away from that golfing, and he heard the gunshots. He heard the gunshots that
I have
were
not
killing.
heard this.
Okay, he heard the gunshots that killed these children and things, right? And so, someone was very rude, and they went to Google Maps, and they looked at the area, and they looked for a golf course within a quarter mile, and there was one about 5 miles away,
Ooh,
the
that's a long
closest
ways.
golf course.
Yeah.
And someone else was very rude, and for some reason didn't take the word of the vice president at face value, called the golf course. And if there's a shooting in your area, in an Amish area, if you lived there, you would remember it. I remember the incident. I don't remember
Sure.
where I was, but 9/11, I remember where I was.
Okay, well, come on.
The pro at the golf course
Yeah.
remembers that day because he was working that day.
When Biden was there.
Well, he says if a senator, because Biden was a senator at the time,
Okay.
would have came to his golf course, he would have remembered it.
Yeah.
And he had a database of customers.
Right.
Joe Biden,
No record.
no record of Joe Biden. He doesn't remember Joe Biden, and he didn't hear the gunshots 5 miles away.
So what you're
at this
saying
golf course
is that Joe,
much like John Kerry being in all these battles that he said he was in, and he really wasn't. Much like, what was it, Hillary's plane
snap.
being shot at, and that really didn't end up being exactly true.
No, snap.
Much like President Obama shooting skeet. Come on, really? You think
are you saying politicians
You
may be less than
think-
truthful?
President Obama shoots skeet ever? Do you think he ever has shot a gun? Maybe in Chicago he shot one.
I think he may have shot guns.
He
at
might
some
have.
point,
I'm sure he has.
but I doubt he.
I don't think he does.
I bet he
skeet shooting
has
all
not
the time.
done it during his
Well,
presidency.
up in Camp David,
I bet
we do skeet shooting
all the time.
all the time.
I doubt
I
he's
don't
done it
believe
during
that.
his
I
presidency.
don't believe that one
Yeah.
bit. Come on, give me a break. Let's talk about Joe Biden a little more.
You're wearing me out here, man.
What would if you were in the middle of an earthquake or a natural disaster or something, and you would feel the need to protect yourself, right, from other people trying to get your supplies, or
Of
from
course.
the government coming to take your guns?
Let's just
like
say
they did in
let's-
Katrina.
Let's just say I am.
You are in an earthquake.
No, I am well protected.
And I believe that. I can see that from here, actually, as a matter of fact.
Wait a minute. Let me just do this right here.
It's a very nice what did you close the door? What was that? Oh,
Everybody
interesting.
knows that sound.
Let's hear Joe
That's my shorty
Biden's
shotgun being.
Let's hear Joe Biden's tips for an earthquake.
Hey, there's an awful, guess what? A shotgun will keep you a lot safer. A double-barrel shotgun than the assault weapons in somebody's hands who doesn't know how to use it, even one who does know how to use it. It's harder to use an assault weapon than hit something than it is a shotgun, okay? So you want to keep people away in the earthquake, buy some shotgun shells. Number one. But anyway.
So even if you know how to use the assault rifle, it's not
dangerous.
desirable.
It's an assault rifle.
And so you want to use double barrel shotgun. Now, let me count those. That's 2 barrels, right? 1, 2. That's 2 shots. That's twice as many as a musket. So I don't know how they can allow that in the first place.
That's a good point.
But
maybe if you only load 1 barrel.
But if I needed 3 shots, I'd be screwed.
You won't.
No, I'd be screwed.
You call the police.
No.
If there's an earthquake.
It's an earthquake.
Call the police.
I'm shooting the fault line.
Oh, you're right. You'll need 3.
I'll need 3.
You'll definitely
you ever been in a big earthquake? I have in 1989.
Were you?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
You weren't even born.
I was born.
I was 20 miles from San Francisco when the big 1989 earthquake hit. I was actually taking a seismic
Did you
court.
hear the gunshots from the golf course?
I didn't hear the gunshots.
While you were doing skeet shooting
but
all
I felt
the time.
that damn earthquake, which was a 7.1. Anyways, it was a big earthquake.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good.
But we didn't have rioting in the street.
No, did
And
you
it
have a
was
double barrel?
California.
Did you have a double barrel shotgun?
I do have a double barrel shotgun.
That's why you didn't have riots.
But well, never mind. I'm not going to tell you how many guns I have. That's so wrong.
You have less than you thought you had. I can tell you that.
I don't have any right now.
I have more than I did when I showed up.
I have none right now. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Hey, you know what we could talk about?
No.
Or you could talk about audible.com.
Is that okay? Yeah, the show brought to you by audible.com. Wow. Sign up for a free 30-day trial.
That wasn't smooth at all.
It wasn't. No,
No.
you're the king of not smooth.
But we
Unlike audible.com, head over to www.adoddshow.com, click on the Audible free 30-day trial ad.
It is
Sign
really
up
a good
for
deal.
a free 30-day trial.
Yeah.
Get a free audiobook download with that for your iPad, your Kindle, your iPhone, your Android, your MP3 player.
You might be able to get Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler.
You probably can if you would like to read that. They have over 100,000 titles, from speeches to books and other things
you
of
get
audio type.
maybe My Little Teacup by the dictator of North Korea.
They actually don't have that one.
No,
I was
okay.
looking for it. They
Okay.
don't have it. That is at oddshow.com. I think we will be back after a short break here. We have a few more things to talk about. Hopefully you'll stick with us.
No, they won't. I love Blues Fest.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think that's in the key of A. If anyone wants to learn that one, you could check out the tabs. I know the guy who wrote it personally. I actually don't.
I don't think you do.
Well, welcome back to Ad Odds. We are back after a short break. We're going into the second hour here very shortly.
What do you mean, very shortly?
Bit of surprise to me. Well, we're only like 59 minutes in. We've got a whole minute before we make it to the
we're never going to make
the top of the second hour.
Hey, do you remember Joe Biden, President Obama, and many other anti-gun proponents talking about a 40% private sale?
Yeah, look,
Myth? I'm going to say myth.
40%.
Myth.
40% of all guns
Are sold by private
are
individuals.
purchased by private individuals without a background check.
Well, how do you-
through this huge loophole, because any law that's written that doesn't line up with what the liberals believe is a loophole. It's not the law. Like, in reality, it's the law. They call it a loophole. They're saying 40% of guns sold fell into this loophole and were purchased without a background check. Oh, the humanity.
Nate, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
What color are unicorns?
Purple.
No. They're pink.
Well, 40% of them
40% are pink.
purple.
No, 40%
no.
are pink.
Oh, no. 60% are purple?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Miscellaneous colors.
Miscellaneous colors, huh?
60% are miscellaneous. Now ask me how I know that.
How do you know that?
I just pulled it out of my butt.
You did.
All right. We're going to talk about where that number came from. All right. John Lott did an article, and he actually researched this because he's a frickin' professor.
John Lott, he did what? More guns, less crime, right?
Yeah, he's probably the nation's leading expert on statistics on guns, gun crime, gun sales.
He does actual academic research.
Yeah.
Real scientific,
Yeah,
procedural research, and
Yeah.
uses real numbers.
Yeah, he's a doctor. And he's a professor. And he's the one that came out that if you put a collapsible stock on an AR-15, you can make it fully automatic.
No, that was somebody much smarter than him,
Oh.
Dianne Feinstein.
All right. Now,
She does not do skeet shooting all the time.
where that 40% came from, which included, by the way, inheritances, family inheritances, and gifts.
Interesting.
Actually, the number was 36% from the actual survey
So,
that was done
let's-
over 20 years
Let's
ago.
set the stage here. The number never was 40%.
No, it was
Even this wrong number
36.
never was 40%, but we keep hearing 40%, 40%, 40%.
Now,
I got an email today from my state senator, Carl Levin, who is...
a douchebag?
Yeah, that was the first word that came into my head. I was trying to be a bit nicer. But yeah, that's exactly it. And he even had the 40% in his email.
I know. It was ridiculous. I got that same email.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody who contacted him...
I asked him to retire immediately.
Really?
And that his information is ridiculously wrong. And
Wrong.
he's ignorant.
Yeah, I'm going to send him...
I'm on a list
I'm
now.
going to send him the Second Amendment. Yeah, I'm sure you are on a list now.
Oh, that's the FBI
That's-
knocking on the door.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Anyways.
You're okay. Janet Reno's with him. You're fine.
She's a fine-looking woman. Anyways, so that comes from a Clinton administration survey done 2 decades ago.
Huh.
And they asked a whopping... Now, remember, when you do science, you're a scientist, Nate. I kind of consider
sorts.
myself a scientist.
You're much more of a scientist than I
Oh,
am.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
study rocks.
I do. Mine involve like chemistry and physics
And rocks.
and rocks. Yours are. You have silicone.
Uh-huh.
You're a computer guy.
Uh-huh.
All right, you don't know what silicone is, and you're
I have no idea.
You're a computer
I
tech.
used it for Windows.
That's some silica. All right, mostly quartz that's melted. But anyways, getting back to that, they did a whopping survey of 251 people. Now, if you do anything about statistics, a survey of 251 is not really very good. I
No,
mean,
and when you're going to use those numbers as the basis of your
Yeah.
entire argument
Yeah, you-
against something,
you probably want more people and maybe more studies.
even Dianne Finkelstein here said that her number came from a sample size of 50,000, which I completely
Oh,
don't
that's a
believe.
lie.
I don't believe that.
No way.
But at least she knew enough to lie about the number and
Right.
make it bigger.
All right. Well, Lott looked at this and he said that of that 251 people, 3/4. I don't know about you, but that's 75%.
It's also 75% for me.
Is it?
It is.
We agree. We're not at odds now.
Oh.
Anyways, was done before the Brady Act. The Brady Act instituted mandatory federal background checks.
Oh,
all right?
Carl Levin had something. He was a co-sponsor of that, too.
Yeah, he was very proud of that.
Interesting. Yeah, he still is. All 80 years later.
So 20 years ago, a 251-person survey was done before the Brady Act, and it was asking questions that aren't really applicable to how guns are sold today. All right? If you look at what was going on then, an FFL, which is a federally licensed firearms dealer, which is a person that goes through all kinds of hoops, pays all kinds of
It's
fees.
expensive.
They become endorsed by the federal government to sell firearms and graced with a crown and a scepter and all kinds of stuff.
Much safer than your average citizen because the federal government said so.
Right. There were almost 285,000 of them in 1993. And because of laws trying to get rid of FFLs, there's only about 118,000 today. Of those 283,000 or so, many of them operated out of their homes, and they were, they didn't have
a
store.
storefront. You didn't
Right.
go to, Joe's Guns to buy a firearm.
So the survey asked buyers if they thought Not whether they did or they didn't, but whether they thought they were buying from a licensed firearm dealer. While all FFLs do background checks, those perceived as being FFLs were the only ones counted. Yet there is much evidence that survey respondents who went to the very smallest FFLs, like, the guy that had the house.
Your neighbor.
Yeah, my neighbor, especially the kitchen table types,
Yeah.
had no inkling that the dealer was actually licensed. So these people were buying guns from an FFL, were having background checks done, but the person buying the gun didn't think so. They thought it was a private sale. So they actually responded that it was a private sale. So that skews the data.
Yeah, and in a sample size of 251, it doesn't take too many of these people to skew the
really
data
screw
greatly.
It. Right. But they were also including those that inherited guns and those that were given guns as gifts where the person bought the gun from an FFL. So that skewered it even more. So the numbers were a lot higher than were actually bought from FFLs.
Yeah, so bottom line, that 40% number that you keep hearing thrown around, it's just wrong. It's a lie. It never was 40%. If they were going to use the unreliable data, it would still only be 36%. But the real number is around 10%.
Right, and John Lott said it's around 10%, and we don't even know that. He's thinking that it might even be less than that.
Yeah, the reality is, if you want to do that, you need to use, first of all, a recent study,
right,
under current laws and
it'd be nice to have a couple thousand
current
people.
Purchasing habits, and a decent sample size, and do some science, and then go ahead, let me know what that number is. Even at that, I don't care. Background checks are wrong anyway.
Right, and John Lott continues in his article that the current system of background checks suffer from many flaws, as we know.
A lot of false positives.
Right, and they cause serious delays for people that might suddenly need a firearm. The woman whose ex-husband is threatening her, she wants to go buy a gun. The number that Obama was using was that, the Brady background check works because we stopped 1.5 million bad people from getting guns. What he didn't tell you was that they were only initial denials, and that 94% of those were approved to buy.
Yep.
And a lot of times it delays a person from getting a gun and puts them in danger. So actually there's a safety issue involved in that.
Yep.
As well as an expense.
It's absurd.
John Lott found that only 62 people out of that 1.5 million were actually prosecuted for trying to buy a gun unlawfully.
Yeah, 62
out of 1.5 million, and that 13% pleaded guilty or were convicted.
Mm-hmm.
My God. Background checks work right now as we are. And the thing is that criminals are going to get guns. Remember, no amount of background checks, either through an FFL or privately, would have stopped the shootings in Connecticut, Wisconsin, or Colorado because all those guns were purchased lawfully.
Yep.
They were taken from someone who had owned them and used. So to say that you need these background checks are ridiculous because bad people are going to get guns and going to use them.
Look at Brazil has a total ban on firearms. Highest firearm murder rate in the world.
Well, don't get me started. The other thing is, if you look at all of the total violent crimes and murders worldwide, there's like 120 countries ahead of the United States.
Yeah.
And the United States has the highest per volume of gun ownership.
But we should be leaders in the effort to rid the gun or the world of guns. I don't know. You didn't get the memo, obviously, because I see you have one of those slide stocks to make that a fully auto over there.
Yeah, you don't want those collapsible stocks because those are very, very dangerous.
You remember we talked about David Gregory.
Yes.
and how
Vaguely.
he had
That criminal.
he had a 10-round magazine, 30-round magazine. He had it on his show in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Felony. Bam, felony, right? Well, the prosecutor in D.C. said, it wouldn't keep anybody safer if we charged him with a crime, so we're not going to charge him with a crime.
Right.
It wouldn't serve the
and
people.
the intent wasn't to be criminal.
Yeah, it
my
wouldn't
God.
really help public safety, so we're not going to do it. This whole topic is what had me so angry today. Is looking through some stuff and seeing all of the double standard on everything and the hypocrisy of things. Media Matters, big left wing media with quotes organization. They do the news people, right? Their founder, David Brock, okay, he had an aide. They purchased firearms with his blessing, according to numerous sources here, and he had an aide who carried a Glock in places like Washington, D.C. They purchased and carried illegal firearms, and they're completely anti-gun. Completely anti-gun.
Right.
It's ridiculous how this works, and of course they're not going to be charged. If it was you or I, we would be in jail.
Well, doesn't that tie into Michael Moore?
Michael Moore, his bodyguard, again.
Don't we have a sound clip?
For the second time. No, for the second
I
time.
thought we had a sound clip.
Just let me...
Where's my
you
producer?
Sit over there.
Okay.
And do your thing, which hopefully is very quiet, and I'll do my thing over here.
I'll sit in the corner over here and be quiet.
Perfect. Michael Moore's bodyguard, I believe for the second time, arrested at an airport, this time JFK in New York, for carrying a firearm illegally in an airport. Why does Michael Moore have armed security? I don't understand that, because he's anti-gun. Why would he have...
The same reason he has people, mow his lawn and fix his food, because that's beneath him.
What's beneath him?
He doesn't... Doing those things. He doesn't want to sully his hands and dirty his hands.
He shouldn't need guns, because guns are dangerous.
Oh.
I mean, come on.
I just thought he didn't want to have to dirty his hands with such horrible things as carrying a gun. I don't
think that's it. Bloomberg has a huge entourage of security. No. I think New York police officers possibly, obviously paid for by the public, but
yeah, and you have some sound for that, don't you?
Yeah, Jason Matera, I think his name is. He was at a convention and he actually went up and
go ahead.
He asked Bloomberg about it.
Mayor Bloomberg, how you doing? Jason, I grew up in Brooklyn. Okay, in the spirit of gun control, will you disarm your entire security team?
We'll get right back to you.
You'll get back to me? Would you like a sip of my soda? Mayor Bloomberg, why?
He had a very large soda.
Why can you defend yourself but not the majority of Americans? I mean, look at the team of security you got. And you're an advocate for gun control? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. I'm counting. There are probably more.
Sir, how you doing today?
I'm good.
How you doing? Officer Stockton, NYPD. Do you have ID on you, sir?
This is down the block.
I'm credentialed for this.
May I see it, please? Thank you.
Sure.
Why don't we get over here to the streets?
No. Do you even have jurisdiction?
Absolutely, yes, I do. Security jurisdiction, absolutely, sir.
I asked the question. There's nothing. What did I violate?
I'm not saying you did. I was asking if you have ID. That's all. If you have ID or credentials, like
hold this.
Thank you very much. Do you have a photo ID, sir? Driver's license.
Well, I'm not going to give you my DC driver's license. Is this standard procedure
Absolutely.
for the press? It's standard procedure to be questioning members of the press.
Standard procedure ID, sir?
Yeah, it was issued by the conference we were just at.
Well, can I see ID? Photo ID that matches that name, please?
Sure thing.
Thank you, sir.
You going to write it down now?
Oh, no, sorry.
You're going to write it? You're going to write it? Okay. We good?
Thank you very much, sir.
It's down the road even further.
Yeah. It's none of your business when my date of birth is.
Good for you.
See, look. We're getting followed. Ask Bloomberg a question, we get followed.
So
what a douchebag.
He was after a conference of mayors, I think. He went out and he was asking Bloomberg, hey, you have all this armed security. You are completely anti-gun. Your state just passed the most restrictive gun laws in the United States.
Legitimate question.
Are you going to disarm your security because they have guns? They don't need guns. You said nobody needs guns. Why are you more important than everybody else in this country? And Bloomberg says, we'll get back with you.
We'll get back with you. And then six his man on him.
And then his security harasses him, asks for ID.
NYPD, by the way.
And this was when he was far away from Bloomberg. Mm-hmm. And they follow him down the block.
Harassment.
Yeah, complete harassment. And I think the guy gave him ID. I wouldn't have. I'm not clear on what New York's law is as far as stop an ID type of things.
Well, they can stop an ID you outside of certain housing areas. And even that was found unconstitutional.
We did have that story, yeah, and that was the war on drugs crap.
So, when are people going to realize that it's becoming this tyrannical dictatorship? You're losing your rights every day, people, all the time.
Yeah, I do want to say, I've said this before, but I can't say it enough. Gun control is not about guns. It's about controlling people.
Yep.
It's completely people control. You take their guns away, they have no tools to fight back. You can do anything you want. And this was the thing I was warning people about with Obamacare. When you let these small things, Obamacare is huge, but relatively small, I guess, when you think about, the whole landscape of the country. But
you let killing you with drones and
you
detaining you without a warrant.
You let them creep in, and there's things like fines on smokers in Obamacare. So you smoke, you're going to pay fines. And
fat people, I take offense to that.
And that's on top of all the death panels.
Let fat people and smokers die because, what the hell?
Yeah, well, hey, we could do a show on Obamacare sometime. We probably should because there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. I mean, Nancy Pelosi said we have to pass the bill to find out what's in it.
And a lot of stuff, goes in at 2014. So, I mean, that's
when it's fully implemented, supposedly. Yep. So we'll see how bad that is. I mean, premiums are already going up. It's going to get worse.
So, what about Clinton and Benghazi? She had
Hillary
to
Clinton. She finally testified. She bumped her head a while ago. She's not fully recovered now. She
bumped her head on the side of the bed. She still couldn't get up in the morning.
She still has a boo-boo on her head. Yeah, that's what happened, and she had a blood clot.
You have a blood clot. You don't want to screw around with that.
No, and I'm sure that was all completely legitimate, and it wasn't planned or anything like that. I mean, she just fell and bumped her head, then had a blood clot, and it just happened to coincide with the schedule for her to testify in Benghazi. These things happen. They happen. But she finally did testify in Benghazi.
I can't believe the amount of people that I see that just think that Hillary Clinton is like the new Messiah after Barack.
Oh, and I wish we would have gotten some clips of that because most of this
they are just saying, she handled it so well. Oh, she fought with the big dogs, and she was up there, and boy, she's got upset.
I'm more upset about what happened during this session. Okay. The senators that were questioning her, they spent 10 minutes saying, "Oh, we thank you for your service. You're wonderful. Such a great person. You're so brave. Thank you for what you're doing. You're so perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Do you know what happened in Benghazi?
No, not really.
Oh, well, thank you for your service. Yeah. Thank you so much. We had a couple people. Kuhn asked her some really good questions. That's when she went nuts in a pre-planned statement and said, "What difference does it make?
It makes all the difference.
What difference does it make if they were killed by terrorists or by somebody who just wanted to kill Americans?
Right, and that you're incompetent and that you covered it up, and those things matter.
They do. Let's listen to what Rand Paul had to say.
All right.
So we have a review board. Review board finds 64 different things that we can change. A lot of them are common sense and should be done, but the question is, it's a failure of leadership that they weren't done in advance, and 4 lives were cost because of this. I'm glad that you're accepting responsibility. I think that ultimately with your leaving, you accept the culpability for the worst tragedy since 9/11. And I really mean that.
Wow.
Had I been president at the time, and I found that you did not read the cables from Benghazi, you did not read the cables from Ambassador Stevens, I would have relieved you of your post. I think it's inexcusable. The thing is that, we can understand that you're not reading every cable, I can understand that maybe you're not aware of the cable from the ambassador in Vienna that asked for $100,000 for an electrical charging station. I can understand that maybe you're not aware that your department spent $100,000 on 3 comedians who went to India on a promotional tour called Make Chi Not War. But I think you might be able to understand and might be aware of the $80 million spent on a consulate in Mashar al-Sharif that will never be built. I think it's inexcusable that you did not know about this and that you did not read these cables.
So that was Rand Paul. I mean, really,
good for him.
Giving her the what for on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can excuse
And
all
her,
of these
and
other
her roll in her eyes.
all of these other very important things that you didn't know about. We can excuse that. But how did you not know about one of the most volatile consulates that we have?
Right.
And he went on to ask her if guns were were being trafficked to Turkey or any country, and she acted like, "What? I've never even heard of that before. What?" Well, everybody who cares has been talking about it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to have to take that for the record. I've never been asked that before." Of course you haven't been asked that before, because your ass was at home with a boo-boo on your head, and you wouldn't talk to anybody about it. You disappeared for a month after this happened, and you wouldn't talk to anybody. Of course you haven't been asked this question. I like Hillary Clinton. I think she'll be a good candidate. Her and Chris Christie, they're going to battle it out in the Democratic primary, I think, for 2016.
Oh, my God.
Neither
one of them are a good choice.
Well, that's why I won't vote for a Democrat, but I'm just saying.
Or a Republican.
I probably will vote for a Republican. We'll see.
Chris
we'll
Christie?
See okay, let me say this one more time.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton and Chris Christie will be battling it out in the Democratic primary in 2016.
Oh, you were making a funny.
I was making a bit of a funny. Chris Christie is much more suited
I didn't get it.
as a Democrat than he is a Republican at this point.
Rhino?
No. Let's have a little timeline discussion here.
Right.
We had Hillary Clinton had a boo-boo. And finally she testifies on Benghazi. This is a big deal. She says some stupid things like, what difference does it make why this happened? Because I'm quitting and I'll be absolved of all of this and everybody will forget by the time I run for president in 2016.
Oh, God, that's true.
We're discussing it during the day. What happens the next morning? Any ideas? Oh, Leon Panetta, he's going out the door, right? He announces, hey, we're going to lift the restrictions on women serving on the front line. So you can stop kind of talking about Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. Benghazi, what is that? Who's that guy?
That's so yesterday.
Who's Benghazi? Now let's talk about women.
That's a new group. The Benghazis.
Benghazi, the rock band. Let's talk about women in the military. And before this and during this is the whole gun confiscation thing that they're working on. So let's throw that in there. And where do we look? Which hand?
Are you saying there's smoke
and
and mirrors involved in this?
It completely distractions, at least. I mean, it's something to pull your attention away. But we had the discussion for a couple days about women in the military and should they serve on the front lines. And I mean, I think you want equal rights, then you have equal rights. The problem is going to come in when they lower the standards.
Oh, they're not going to do that.
They absolutely are going to do that.
No, that won't happen.
They will absolutely do that.
No,
they're going to have to lower it for everybody. So even the men serving,
I can't. No, it won't happen.
Even the men serving aren't going to be up to what they are even today.
I'll give you an example.
That's going to be an issue.
I'll give you an example how that won't happen.
Give me an example how that won't happen.
When my uncle, who was going through the Michigan State Police Academy,
okay,
in the late '60s. It was, pretty tough. Standards pretty high.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I'm thinking in the 70s, mid-70s or so, they started allowing women to go into the academy. And my uncle, who was a firearm instructor at the academy, they were under political pressure to pass the female students. And they were lowering standard. Oh, wait a minute! I'm not helping my argument.
No, I don't think you are.
No.
So this
they
has never
lowered
happened before in any context.
No, we can't. Well,
so
maybe with the Michigan State Police, they did.
Admittedly, that is not the U.S. military, and I understand that, but I don't know how you can think that the situation
No,
will
it's
be
going
any
to be
different.
exactly the same.
There are things that men can do that women cannot do, either physically,
vice versa.
emotionally. Of course,
vice
versa.
And vive la différence.
Yes, and yes, I suppose.
And I'm
to
saying
the contrary,
if you keep the standard the same, there are women that can meet that standard. There's no question in my mind.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But that's not what's going to happen, because there's only going to be a small percentage of women that are going to be able to meet that standard.
Yep.
And they're eventually going to have to lower it because they're going to have political pressure. How come we only had 6 women pass, basic training?
Yeah,
for combat?
and it's not.
You can't do that. We got to get 15%.
And we're not just talking low-level infantry and things like that. The specialized positions that are very highly skilled.
Special forces,
those sort of things. I have a
Green
feeling
Berets, SEALs.
The requirements are going to get lowered, and that's not going to make us any safer as a country. And on top of that, you have the emotional aspects.
Wait a minute. I don't know that
you have the fact that men just naturally want to protect women. I don't know that you can train that out of you completely.
Kind of sexist, maybe. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but
well,
there's some women that I would just let die right now. I wouldn't have a problem. But here's the thing. I don't know that it's going to harm us as a national security. It's going to harm troops.
Well, if we have more troops dying,
individuals,
we're in more danger.
Yeah. And that's the same argument we've had with allowing police or women with police. They have certain skills. They're very good at certain things.
Yep.
But
agreed.
Carrying out a 250-pound man that's been shot, not one of them. Fighting a 400-pound drug-induced psychopath is generally not one of the things that they can do. Now, I'm not saying that every man can. And I'm going to make the argument that there's a lot of men in combat that couldn't stand up to some of the women.
Agreed. So, I agree. If you put President Obama in there, no way could he do that. He can't throw a baseball. He can't shoot skeet all the time.
No, and his jump shot is.
What about carrying an AR-15?
I will tell you, if you talk to professional hunters and certainly sportsmen, they'll tell you that's probably not the kind of gun to use. A rifle is more accurate. It's certainly easier for a woman to be able to do that. So, again...
What?
That's Democratic Representative Carolyn McCarthy, who said that an AR-15 is not good for a woman in self-defense, that they should use a rifle.
A rifle's much more accurate and easy to use than an AR-15.
Now, it boggles the mind that someone would say that.
I don't know why it boggles your mind. I think it's obvious.
I thought an AR... Correct me,
It's
Nate.
obvious that
Nate, am I wrong?
It's obvious.
Is an AR-15 a rifle?
Does it have a collapsible stock?
Not yet, but
do you shoot skeet with it all the time?
No. Is it a rifle?
Yes, it's a rifle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Turns out it is a rifle.
Let me go back and say this is what she said also. Now, she's very anti-gun, and she's trying to ban all guns. But she said she's very supportive of women serving in military combat roles, of course. She says that women should serve in combat, but shouldn't use assault weapons. Because women serving in combat roles, they should use traditional rifles rather than assault rifles. Because the former would be easier for women to use. So, does she mean muskets?
She means muskets because that's what's in the Second Amendment.
Yeah, that's a traditional
And the Second
rifle.
Amendment says militia, which means women in combat carry muskets.
So a traditional rifle in the military is a musket.
Yeah.
And an assault weapon should only be carried by men.
Right, because rifles are much more accurate.
And that women should be in combat.
Listen, if you ask a professional...
Yes.
Professional?
A professional.
Hunter or sportsman,
yes,
they'll tell you that in combat,
yes,
because they're professional sportsmen,
right?
They are professional sportsmen.
Yep.
In hunting or things, they know what to do in combat.
Right.
They
and
tell
what
you.
Do they say?
They say, carry a rifle because it's much more accurate than an AR-15.
But just for the women.
But not with the collapsible stock, just for the women.
But men can
just
carry
for
the assault
women
rifle.
We're talking equal rights, so only the women. I mean, really? Come on. Now, we had this distraction. This came out. Leon Panetta's going out. He didn't carry Wanda Legacy. He talks about the women. And then we're saying, hey, wait a minute. Benghazi, gun control, women in the military serving in, on the front lines. What else is there? Oh, wait, immigration. Here it comes. Another distraction. It's this whole spaghetti thing that seems to happen when these big things come out. And when you hear the president attack Fox News and conservative hosts and things, you know that he's ready for a fight. So now we have all this immigration reform, amnesty talk going on, and it's bipartisan, and there's 8 people who agree on a proposal who disagree with the president. And it's just this whole convoluted mess of stuff that the media is throwing out there, basically to distract people from the real issues. I don't think that there's much of anything going to happen with Benghazi anymore. I mean, we heard what Clinton said. Okay, she's quitting. Okay, she'll run for president.
That's for Diane.
That's for Diane. Do you have anything for Piers Morgan?
Yeah, I do. Hang on.
I don't know if this is going to be good or not. But we'll see. I mean,
it's.
Yeah, I don't think you do have anything for Piers Morgan, do you? How about hi, Piers? How you doing? Does that work?
No. This is.
Well, if you don't have it, I'm about ready to wrap up here. So.
No, we got much more.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you want to go with? You want to talk about immigration a little bit?
No.
We can.
No. I want to talk about this. There it was. Wait a minute.
Did you shoot a rubber band at him and then shoot him with a gun?
It's taken me forever.
That wasn't for Pierce, was it?
No, I would never.
I didn't think so.
All right. Wait a minute. Where am I here? I got to look at my notes.
Yeah.
Okay. A North Florida woman is paying an armed deputy to patrol her children's elementary school. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I saw this. I mean, I don't think...
She's agreed to pay for
crazy.
The cost of a deputy.
Yeah, she must agree with the NRA's position that we should have armed security in every school. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it should be publicly funded. In this case, if she's going to pay for it out of her own pocketbook, perfectly fine.
More power to her.
Great for the children, great for the school, great for the community. Great for the police officer or a guard who gets the job. That's awesome. She's a job creator now.
Wait a minute.
She's created more jobs than the president.
Yeah, on probably per capita. There are 6 resource deputies.
100%.
They have deputies at the county high school and the middle schools, but we can't protect the elementary schools because that's cost prohibitive. They said.
Well, they're just little kids. Nobody would ever go into a school and shoot it up.
Now the sheriff said that I appreciate your concerns and stuff, but asking parents to pay for security is just a Band-Aid solution. We don't really want to have anybody there. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
if she wants to pay for it, by God, let her do it.
I think some of these sheriffs and things who don't think like the Milwaukee County Sheriff,
or the dozens and dozens of other sheriffs
that have come
out.
There are a lot
and
of
said
them.
They're not going to enforce any kind of gun ban.
But these anti-gun police officers and police groups
hate 'em.
that the liberals always quote, I think part of it is they don't want to look bad because if you have security, then they feel like, well, maybe their department can't quite handle everything. Why would you need private security at a place if there's a police department in the city?
Right.
I think it's that sort of arrogance is what gets in the way of actual solutions and actual safety. Also, they do skeet shooting all the time.
Well, they're busy with that. Now, what I'm going to say is what we should do is talk a little bit about audiobooks.
Yeah, show brought to you by Audible.com. You can head over to @ottshow.com. Click on the link or the ad for Audible. You'll see a free 30-day trial. You can sign up and get a free audiobook download with your free trial. Cancel at any time. They have over 100,000 titles for your Android device, your iPhone, your iPad, your MP3 player. You can get speeches. You can get audiobooks. You can get all sorts of things from audible.com. Head over to @oddshow.com.
They probably have the book that says Superman beats Hitler.
They might have that book.
I doubt it.
They might have that book. Don't forget to look us up on Facebook. After you visit our website, head over to the Facebook, facebook.com/@oddshow.
We want to thank the callers that called in and all of our listeners. We hope you have a great day. Are we about ready?
We are.
Okay, I'm going to say, don't let the boogeyman get you.
Thank you for listening to At Odds.
All right, bye-bye.